All right, welcome back. Hey, good people. This is Lorena, the realtor from Atlanta, Georgia. If you are new to the channel, welcome, welcome. If you are watching the replay, welcome. Today we are going to have a special guest lender that is going to come on and talk to us about getting a home mortgage loan when you are relocating. So if you are live, go ahead and put your questions down into the chat. If you are watching the replay, put it in the comments and we'll get back to you. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on our guest, Kevin, onto the screen. So Kevin, I'll let you take it away.
Hi, I'm Kevin Jefferson, aka the People's Lender. I am a mortgage loan originator with Summit Funding, and myself and my team, we have the ability to help you in 46 states.
Awesome. And so Kevin has a YouTube channel as well. And so when we are wrapping up, he'll give you all of his social media handles so you can make sure that you go and follow him. So today is a great opportunity because not only do you have a realtor, you also have a lender live. So be sure if you have any questions, put them in the chat so we can address those. So we're going to hop right into it. So Kevin, do I need a job to purchase a home or do I need a job before I relocate to purchase a home?
You need a job,
Okay.
so it's a two-parter, right? If you have the ability to work remotely from your current job, you can move to a different state, and as long as we can verify that you have the ability to work as a remote worker, you don't have to have a job in that particular state in Georgia, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
If you are looking to relocate to a different state and you're getting a new job, you don't have to have started that job. You can have an offer letter, and we'll do something called a verification of employment, or you'll hear it thrown around as VOE, and we
Okay.
will verify your hours, the consistency. And once we have that and we can come up with an income, then we can use that income to help you qualify. So you don't have to have started that job before you've moved to that state, to Georgia.
Okay. Okay. So you just need the letter. You don't have to have
Letter.
started, but you do
Yep.
need that letter. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So can I use the income from my current job to qualify in a different state?
Yes. You can use the income from your current job to qualify for a loan in a different state. Again, two scenarios. First scenario is if you are a remote worker.
Uh-huh.
Um, if you're a remote worker, you can use that income to qualify for a home as long as we verify it. Number two, there's something called a non-occupant co-borrower.
Okay.
That's where you have a spouse. That spouse can move to a different state,
Mm-hmm.
and once that spouse moves to the different, well, spouse can move to the different state or be moving to the different state, and we can use your income to help them qualify in Georgia.
Oh, okay.
Meaning, if I live in New York and my wife relocates to Georgia and I want to be on the loan, I can
Mm-hmm.
carry my current debts and the current mortgage along with hers, and we can qualify. It's called a non-occupied co-borrower, and there is no in most cases there's
Mm-hmm.
no additional down payment requirement. FHA
Okay.
is 3.5%. Conventional is 5%. So you don't have to put down any additional money if you don't have to. It's just being that you have to carry your debt. So if you have rent in New York,
Mm-hmm.
you carry that $2,000-3,000 rent along with your current debts and see what you qualify for using that.
Okay, so I'm going to put a little spice on this question. So, what if, in your scenario, right, they're in New York and the spouse has moved to Georgia and they're trying to get a home, but the other spouse, although they may be legally married and such, doesn't plan on moving to Georgia? Can they still do that?
They can still do that.
Okay.
They can still do it. I know. Um, I worked with someone in the mortgage industry who she lived in Georgia. Her husband made significantly more money in New York, and that's where he stayed, and he came home on weekends or on holidays. So that's the
Yes.
type of relationship. He would have made significantly less here, so he stayed in New York, and she stayed here in Georgia, and he just did the marriage thing the way they did it.
Okay, awesome. Yes, because a lot of people I know, I used to work in the CPG, consumer product good industry, and we used to have, work for a global organization, and people was gone 24/7. Like you said, they'll come home on the weekends, or if they took some PTO, but they'll be gone. And so that is great to know for people that is in that situation. So when should I apply if I'm looking to relocate?
In the words of Bernie Mac, immediately. No. Immediately, right away. And the reason why I say right away is while you think or could think that your credit and income and everything is in a great place to purchase, of course, we have different sets of guidelines, right? You
Mhm.
could have the 700 credit score, but you may have a judgment or lien that you didn't see, or because you paid it, you didn't pay it any mind. Well, if that judgment or lien does not say released on the public record, we have to then get the documentation and get it back into the courthouse to make sure it's proven satisfied, or released. So those are extra steps. If you're traveling and you can't get to the courthouse like you want to, it could take a little bit of time. So there's always something, no matter how much research you do, something that may not add up. So you want to apply immediately just so you know what position you're in.
Absolutely. And like you said, it's something, whether it's on the buy side or whether it's on the loan side, it's always something that comes up. So by giving yourself that space, that space, you almost give yourself that grace and that flexibility to be able to overcome some of those challenges that could and most likely will arise, even if you do your best to cross all your T's and dot all your I's. So, if you are joining us live, go ahead and you have a question, put it in the chat so that way we can answer that. You have a unique opportunity right now. You have a realtor and a lender. So, ask your questions. If you are watching this on replay, don't worry about it. We're not going to leave you out. So go ahead and put that in the chat if you have, or in the comment section rather, if you have any questions, and we'll be sure to get back to you. So my next question for you is, if I relocate to another state, can I use down payment assistance?
That is a great question. So if you relocate to a different state, can you use down payment assistance program? In some cases you can, in some you can't. And there's some national down payment assistance programs that will allow for you to use it immediately as you transition from one state to the other.
Uh-huh.
There are some state bonds here in Georgia, or state agencies that want you to have at least a 6 month residency in that particular state.
Okay, okay. And when they're talking with you and, getting, kind of that, what they're looking for, down payment assistance and all of that stuff, you'll go through that with them at the forefront. So they'll know that, hey, this particular down payment is going to take 6 months. Now, question for you, have you had anybody wait that 6 months?
I haven't had anyone wait the 6 months on purpose. Now
Okay.
they may have waited the 6 months because they didn't qualify. So they're probably still waiting. However, most of the time, because of the urgency of moving, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
to get to family, closer to family, or because you have that job position, they've typically
Right.
worked out, okay, I'll just go with bringing my own funds. I'll use my 401k. I'll get a gift from a family member. Some people just want to know if they qualify for down payment assistance. And
Mm-hmm.
if they do, cool. If not, that's cool too. I'll use my own money.
Right. Right. And I've worked with clients just like what you just said. Like, they have the money, but it's like, if I can use down payment assistance, if I qualify, I would rather do that than to utilize their money for something else. So perfect. And if you do need it, this is going back to as soon as you're thinking about moving, go ahead and get that process started, because again, you're giving yourself that space and that flexibility to say that, hey, I would like to use this if I qualify for it, but I know I have to be there for 6 months. So you can stay with family before purchasing a home or what have you. You know, you can kind of maneuver that way because you've given yourself options. So, but that is good to know because, I know we were talking and, it always used to be that way, but, you have a few people that's trying to get over on the system and then they change the rules of the game. And so, this is where we are now.
Right.
All right. So when do I need to move into the home once I purchase it?
So when you apply for a mortgage on the application, as well as when you sign the actual application when you're moving forward, there's going to be a disclaimer saying that you agree to move into this house within 60 days of closing. You will see that again at the attorney's office. So within 60 days of closing, you need to be moving into the property. They do that because they want to make sure your intent is for it to be a primary residence. And this is the case. We're talking about primary residence. They want to make sure you're moving in. Again, for whatever reason, people buy houses as primary, then all of a sudden they second homes, Airbnb, investment properties. That's mortgage fraud. So if you sign and say that I am going to move in 123 Main Street within 60 days of closing, and you don't, it's a possibility they could find out. If they send a letter to the house and it gets forwarded back or says undeliverable, then they know something's up. Sometimes they have testers that come out, especially for FHA loan. They'll have a tester come out just to see. And if you're not there, you better have a good explanation.
Right, exactly. So just do what you're supposed to do, right? And that way you don't have to worry about getting caught up in no foolishness. So, hey, Shahida, thank you for joining our live. So Kevin, Shahida gave us a question, and I think we kind of touched on that. But if she's saying that if you are a remote worker, can you buy a house anywhere?
If you are a remote worker, you can buy a house anywhere. And I'm gonna dive in it a little deeper.
Okay.
If your goal is to be a homeowner and it's too expensive to live where you are, however, you make a decent income and you are remote forever or however long forever,
right,
I would look at a different location to move to where I can afford so I can take advantage of being a homeowner. A lot of times people assume they have to move where they live or I can never afford a home. I've got a client that moved from California to Georgia simply because he was like, it's too expensive out here. And now he's got a decent house in Georgia. He's a remote worker and he's using his income from California here in Georgia.
Yeah, and it's also to kind of even go deep into that. So again, like I used to work for the consumer product good industry, CPG. My background is in human resources, and so our headquarters happen to be in New York, right? And so all of the people that was in New York and moving down, guess what? They were still on that New York salary. So you're on New York salary, but you're living in Georgia. It creates a nice atmosphere for you. I would just say for you to be able to purchase. So a lot of people I know I've helped as well that are moving in from these high income states and coming into Georgia and just living the life, right? So now you said about the remote worker. So as long as they have that document that basically lets you know that you are a remote worker, not a teleworker where you can work a few days out of the week, or maybe they've set aside a few months for you to work. You have to be truly hired on as a remote worker in order for that to work. So if you are looking at the live, please go ahead and put your question in the chat. If you are looking at the replay, go ahead and put it in the comments, and we'll definitely keep you in the loop and get back to you on that. So my next question for you, Kevin, is do I need to attend the closing in person?
That is a great question. The answer to it is no. Um, if you are closing on a property, you don't necessarily have to attend in person. There's something called a remote closing. So what would happen is the lender and the attorney's office would coordinate setting. The lender would get the documents to the attorney's office in advance.
Okay.
The attorney's office will schedule or set up for you to sign your documents in front of a notary. The notary will have you sign those documents and they will send them over to the attorney's office. Once the attorney's office sends over specific documents, then they send it to the lender so they can get it funded.
Okay.
However, there are also documents that have to have the wet signature. So they're going to have a FedEx box or a UPS, typically it's FedEx, and you send those documents back to the attorney's office overnight.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, and just so that y'all know that these conversations are had, right? So between the realtor, the lender, closing attorney, like we're all working on your behalf as a team. And so these conversations are had. And so the closing attorney will basically, ask you before we get to the part where you're actually at the closing table, if you want to, are you going to be here for closing or not? And so you'll have all of that information. Now, Kevin, is there anything else that you want to share that, maybe I didn't ask the question on, but you want to share with everyone?
Yeah, I would say if you're looking to relocate or move to a different area, then you definitely want to make sure you're prepared when you have the conversation with your lender. So you want to make sure you have your documents, your most recent 30 days of pay stubs, and that's for everybody who's on the loan, whether it's you and your spouse, you and your mom and dad, you and your kids, everyone who's going to be on the loan. You also want to have your 2 months most recent bank statements, all pages, even the blank page with nothing X'd out, crossed out, blacked out, or cut out. You want to make sure that you provide the statements that have your paycheck stuff in there, your income provided in there, as well as the money for savings. So if it's in for closing. If it's a savings account, provide that. If it's 401k, 403b, IRA, whatever you have where your funds to close are coming from, then you want to provide that statement up front or get access to that statement. You also want to make sure you have your 2 years most recent W-2s and or 1099s. And if you're and that's for all jobs, all positions that you've worked in the last 2 years, we need those W-2s and 1099s. If you're self-employed, you want to also provide your 2 years of most recent tax returns, all pages and all schedules, federal tax returns only. And then you want to have a copy of your driver's license and then some other form of government ID, whether Social Security card or your passport. It's very important that you have those documents available in case you have to hunt them down. I'll go a little deeper. If you receive child support and you would like to use that, make sure it is current. He or she are current. And make sure you have a 12-month history of them paying it on time, as well as the court order. If you receive Social Security disability, pension, or VA disability, you want to make sure you have access to all of those statements so that when the lender asks for them, they can use that to accurately calculate your income.
Okay. And you hit on something, make sure that you have everything together. So, the process of purchasing a home, it doesn't take that long if you have everything together, right? From contract to close, we're talking about 30 to 35 days typically. And so what you want to do is, most of us have Outlook or Gmail that we're using, or even OneDrive to be able to store things into the cloud. And so if you have Gmail, for example, go to your drive, create a folder, a home buying folder, and all of the stuff that Kevin just named, put it in your folder, and then you have everything in one place. If you want to, I know, Kevin, I don't remember if you hit on this, but I'm sure he will, but you don't want to send it in a picture. You want to send it in a PDF. So make sure that you scan it and do whatever you need to do on the forefront. So that way, when we're rocking and rolling, that way we can do it smoothly. We can help you make a smooth move. So whether it's OneDrive or again, Gmail, on the drive on Gmail, just create a folder so that way you can easily and get it over to the folks that needs to have it. So we all work together as a team. Now, Kevin, we have a question. Hey, Natasha, thank you for joining us and thank you for your question. So she said, hey guys, do you know any lenders that work with down payment assistance programs in Georgia? So Kevin, and he's gonna give you all that. He'll give you all of his social media and all his information. So definitely make sure that you hit him up. And he also has his own YouTube channel that helps you with all home mortgages and gives you a lot of great information. And so I think that's going to answer your question. Natasha, where are you joining us from today? If you want to drop that into the chat. And if anyone else is watching, if you have a question, drop it into the chat. Even if you are, you maybe recently moved to the Atlanta area, but you haven't purchased a home and you may have some questions, or you're even moving between cities in the Atlanta area. If you have questions, drop them down in the chat. If you are watching this on replay, be sure to put it in the comments, okay? All right, so Natasha, if we get off on live and you didn't get a chance to let us know where you're from, come back on the, once it's uploaded and everything, and let us know where you're from. So Kevin, did you have anything else? Oh, you know what? I actually had another question for you. When it comes to, we talked about this offline, but when it comes to, let's just say if someone has a W-2 job, and that job, and they're relocating to the Georgia area. So they have their main job, which is a W-2 job, but then they also have their own business, which is, for all intents and purposes, a side business. And, they're making good money on that side business income. And let's just use that they are a cosmetologist, so they do hair, but their clients is in New York. Could you consider that income if they make a move to Georgia along with their W-2 income?
Yes. So example, if they are a cosmetologist and their income is dependent upon seeing clients, then that's going to be a hard sell, because if you're moving from even South Carolina to Georgia, are you going to commute back and forth to South Carolina to do work? If you move to Georgia, you no longer probably have that clientele, correct? However, if you own a salon or barbershop and your income is dependent upon the workers in there, and you have a 2-year history that we can count, then that makes more sense of you operating a business outside of another state, because you're dependent upon other barbers and your income is stable because you're not cutting hair. Because some barbers and cosmetologists have other jobs and they run a business because they need health benefits. So that is possible to use, but if your clientele is in another state, it's going to be hard to show that you have the ability to go back and forth to work with them. So it is possible. It's a case-by-case scenario depending on what business you operate.
Okay, so if you're hands-on and the business can only run because of you actually doing the work, then it's probably, like you said, it's a hard sell. We're going to say more than not, it's probably going to be a no. But if the business can operate without you doing the day-to-day and actually doing the operations or whatever that skill set is itself, and you got other people kind of doing that and you running the business, then that's a whole nother case scenario. So that is good to know. So Natasha says she is from Philadelphia, so we have Philadelphia tuning in the house. So welcome, Natasha. We are happy to have you, and thank you for your questions. So now, that's on the, did you have any more comments or anything else that you want to share?
Other than going back to those documents, lenders can accept screenshots. They can accept photos of your documents. They need to be in PDF form, so you can either scan and email them, download them as a PDF, or fax them over. The once they've been screenshotted and then passed on and saved, it becomes distorted, so the underwriters won't accept them. It may seem like it is a extra step, but it'll help you in the down the road.
Okay, all right. So go ahead. You got the information. Go ahead and get those folders together, and then you'll be okay. Kevin, go ahead and share all of your social media. How can they reach you? How can they, get engaged with you and all that good stuff?
So you can reach me on YouTube, Kevin Jefferson / the People's Lender. On Instagram, I go by @the People's Lender. As well as if you need to reach out to me for information pertaining to down payment assistance programs or just purchasing a home in general, because I can help you. My team and I can help you in 46 states. Send the email to teamjefferson@summitfunding.net. That contact information will be down below if you forget it or don't get a chance. And if you need to reach me, you can reach me at 404 600 1683.
Awesome. Oh, okay. We got Just Michelle just gave us a question. You're going to catch the replay. Okay, Just Michelle, yeah, catch that replay. And if you have any questions, go ahead and put it down in the comment, and we'll be back. We'll get back with you. So if you are going to be into the Atlanta area, I want to share with you, I am actually going to be live. So you're going to be able to see me live in person. I am going to be hosting a home buyers workshop on April 29th, 2023, just in case you're catching the replay. And it's going to be from 1 to 3 p.m. It's going to be located in Marietta, Georgia, which is about 15 to 20 minutes north of Atlanta. So if you are in the area, be sure to join. It is free. Go ahead and get your phone out or your iPad or your tablet and scan the code right there, so that way you can register on Eventbrite, and I hope to see you there. All right, until next time, bye.